Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live, talk radio without the static. Email your questions and comments to Lynn at pghcitypaper.com. And now your host, Lynn Cullen.
Hey there, and welcome. It'd be a Thursday, thank God. September 23 to be specific, and September 23, 2021 to be even more specific. And on top of that, I love this weather. It is so cool, so wonderful. I just read today that 3 of our seasons, summer, spring, winter, fall, not necessarily in that order, 3 of our seasons are getting shorter. And one is, well, taking up the slack and actually getting longer. And you don't have to be a genius to figure out which one you think is getting longer. Yeah. Summer. Now, I know a lot of people love summer, but the way summer is now, presenting itself, I guess, is nothing that I like, I'll tell you, not generally speaking, and I'm talking about high temperatures and humidity. So my favorite seasons are all shrinking, but I do love fall. It's my favorite. And so I'm in heaven today. I just love the feel of this air. I was thinking something, I think it was yesterday morning. I was feeding my dog. I was doing the things I do in the morning to get up and ready. And I was aware, as I guess I almost always am, of this sort of low-grade anxiety that was very evident in my. I once went to a therapist who was an anxiety expert, and she's every time I would say I'm feeling anxious, she'd say, "Where do you feel it?" As if where it was in my body was important. And if you think about it, some people feel anxiety in their gut. Some people feel it in their chests, and this anxiety for me was like in my chest. I just feel like this, on edge, like my heart's probably beating faster. And do you know what was causing? I mean, I knew what was causing it. What was causing it was my concern that I did not have enough material to do this hour. And it is not unusual for me to always have a certain level of anxiety when I begin this program. And it occurred to me that it seems so silly. And I did sort of say this to myself in my head yesterday. For God's sake, I said to myself in my head, not really speaking out loud, you've been doing this for like 45 years or something. Do you think you could trust that you'll be okay? And it all seems so silly. And yet, it doesn't dispel the anxiety. And I have a feeling that once the anxiety goes is when I stop doing it. That, I guess. And I suspect that anybody who is performing in some way if they lose that sense of, I wonder if oh God, am I going to be okay? If you lose that, then you're probably not going to be doing very well. You should hang it up. I got a feeling. I become extremely anxious when I'm asked to give a speech. Can you believe that? But then I become extremely anxious when the doorbell rings. So the level of my anxiety is just as constant. And for people who don't have that affliction, boy, I envy you, because I can't imagine sort of, I don't know how easy it would be to just encounter life if you didn't have constant anxiety. It's just, and I'm sure, I don't know what the stats are on how many people live with just a constant level of anxiety. But I bet it's pretty high, but I bet it's still in the minority. Anyway, I just wanted to tell you that because I was feeling it again today. I sort of looked down. I thought, oh God, I don't have it. And I thought, shut the F up, I said. So anyway, I was just sharing that with you. And you see what I did there by sharing all that with you. I ate up 7 minutes. That wasn't my intent. But my sense of how one makes it is to then, go in a different direction than one would usually. So I didn't jump right in. Hey, I got to tell you guys, I know I've said it before, but that Ken Burns, Muhammad Ali documentary, it's 4 2-hour episodes, is, I think, just wondrous. It's done now, but obviously available. And I just can't recommend it enough. What an amazing life. And of course, watching the last episode last night, I ended up just sitting on my couch with tears just running down my face. I mean, almost sobbing. It is unbearable to lose someone who you, I don't know, feel such love for. And I did. And watching the documentary and seeing him whole, he was far from perfect. There was a dark side to him. But overall, what a remarkable human being. And God, I there's so many things I want to say, but I mean, this is crazy. I shouldn't subject you to it. Just watch it, will you? There was a quote from Bob Dylan, who also loved him, upon his death, that so hit so on the mark, one poet to another. And Dylan harkens back to Muhammad Ali always saying, I'm the greatest. I'm the greatest. I'm the greatest. Which, obviously put white America off. One forgets how reviled he was. And yet this man who was a boxer became, in many ways, one of the most sought after, powerful, influential people in the world. The people who had the power wanted to be seen with him. But Dylan said this: if the measure of greatness is to gladden the heart of every human being on the face of the earth, then he truly was the greatest. In every way, he was the bravest, the kindest, and the most excellent of men. I don't doubt it. So while I'm sobbing, listening to this, they show Larry Holmes now being interviewed for it. And he talking about beating Ali, starts crying. Even after he beat Ali in real time, he felt no pleasure, only pain, because he'd idolized him, he'd loved him, and he'd had to beat him up. And to this day, to see that that still causes Larry Holmes such pain. Ugh. You gotta watch this, I'm telling you. Now, for those of you who don't like looking at boxing, at heavyweight boxing matches, that could be a problem, because you get to see an awful lot of Ali's consequential matches, and they can be hard to watch, and they can also be astonishing to watch. And I credit my ex-husband for getting me to appreciate, on a certain level, boxing. So I'm just saying, I really hope, I hope you'll watch it. There's a lot of American history in that, and especially for this time of Black awareness, and the fact that Black history has been obliterated by the white folks who tell the story. Ali's courage, and it's just, okay, I'll stop it. Somebody tell me to stop it. Oh, I have one other sorry, I have one other apropos of nothing thing that I have to share with you. I know some of you are Jeopardy fans, right? I've always considered myself one. I found myself, frankly, not watching much. Every once in a while, I tune it in now, and every time in the last month that I've tuned it in, the same damn guy is still winning. And I don't know about you, but I can't stand it when somebody like owns the show for a long period of time. I can't think of his name, but this guy now, he doesn't just win, he obliterates the other contestants almost every time I've seen it. And it makes you, desperately want him to get beaten. But I can't bear watching to see who finally pulls it off. He apparently is the third biggest money winner in the history of the show. So he's getting up there into Ken Jennings territory. And excuse me. And I can't watch. And I also can't watch because I don't like what's her name who's doing the show now. I can't. Okay, change is hard. Change always happens, and I want the Jeopardy champion to change. That's all I'm saying. God, he drives me crazy. I guess there's no way to be in that position and be lovable. Is there? I mean, because once you're on the top like that, it's just human nature to want to see you come down. And in fact, I'm sorry, back to Ali, white people, white America in general, didn't start to love him until he was taken down. Because Ali is a braggadocio, gorgeous, strong, the greatest black man, unapologetic, was something that a lot of white people can't like. They fear. But once he started slurring his words and shuffling instead of walking, once he clearly was stricken, then white America sort of started acknowledging how wondrous he was, because he wasn't on top anymore. That's my spin. I'm sorry, I have a caller. I just got a reminder about a caller, and I never saw the original. I have a caller, and I'm really sorry, caller. Hello?
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 Yes. Hey, Lynn, it's entertainment, so you got to expect the trash talk and the show. That's all show, so if they didn't like it, then don't watch it. I mean, that's what he was. He was a show entertainer and a great.
He was an incredible showman. You are absolutely right, and it's why he couldn't stop when he should have. He couldn't stop. He loved being Muhammad Ali, the great entertainer and performer. It's true.
No, some people didn't like. What I wanted to ask you is, I don't know. Jog your memory, but I know you're not going to say, well, your memory's not that good, but anyway.
No, it's not.
Do you remember, my neighbor told me, back in the 1800s, I don't know where he read this.
How the hell am I supposed to remember back in the 1800s?
You might have read it.
Oh, all right, thanks. I know I'm old, but
no, I don't mean that. I mean, you read a lot more than I do. I know you do. And he said that a volcano somewhere, and he says there's a movie made about it. I think it's called Cracked. And we didn't have summer for 1 year.
That is true.
Yeah, that is so weird when he told me that. And I don't think
that is true. And I forget where it was, somewhere in Asia, and I think, and that volcano spewed into the atmosphere, ended up circling the globe and remaining there for, it really changed the weather for an entire year. That's all. I do vaguely remember it.
Yeah, but I'm thinking these people don't think there's climate change, and you could starve to death if you can't grow crops. I mean, it's just, but they think, they're just their example of a volcano, and that's just, well, I can't say smaller scale, but it's still, compared to the whole ocean and everything, all that stuff disappearing, and so I don't know.
So no, and I forget. Was that Krakatoa?
Yeah, I think that's what it was. Yeah,
was it?
Yeah.
Well, remember that, but not so long ago, and in our lifetime, the Icelandic volcano that went kaplooey, and interrupted air travel. Planes could not make normal flights across the North Atlantic like they do. So it totally interfered with travel and at certain levels, commerce. And that was like, I don't know, what was that? 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago or something. Yeah. You don't remember that? Because that happens. Yeah, these things are, nature is just astonishing. You do remember, of course, you do remember the commercials with that woman who said, "Don't mess with Mother Nature," right?
Yes, I remember that.
What was she selling? Margarine? No, not margarine. Yeah, she must have been selling real butter.
There you go.
I don't know. All right. Well.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
I killed 5 minutes for you.
You did. God bless you. Thank you.
Okay. Bye. Bye-bye.
And I'll tell you what, I'm going to kill a whole bunch more with the obit of the day. Okay. This obit's, okay, thanks. I'm sorry. This obit so blew me away. I certainly knew of this man, but I did not know of the extent of, God, the noise in my neighborhood. Okay, wait a minute. I'm sorry. I got to close the door. I got all my windows and doors open. So love this weather. Anyway, I want to tell you about this amazing guy, sort of like Ali in his way. I got a caller. I better let the caller in first before I go off on this. Caller, go ahead.
Hey, Lynn, good morning.
Good morning.
Hey, I just wanted to kind of reinforce your point that you started off with about the kind of performance anxiety. I did mental health and substance use training for many years in seminars and workshops and so on, and I can tell you that it was and I probably did them maybe 2 or 3 times a year. It was a never-ending source of anxiety for me. I always obsessed for weeks in terms of gathering information, preparing, never thinking that I was going to have enough material. And I remember one time I had to do a 5-day presentation to the Coast Guard, of all people, in Minnesota as part of their required training every so often. And I cannot tell you the angst I went through in preparation for that. And invariably, to kind of how common an experience this must be, invariably for me, I never even got through the material that I had
right.
because I was so over-prepared, let alone run out of material, along the way, because you just find a way to fill and add and then do whatever. And I think your other point about when one loses that sense, it may be time to hang it up, because you want to always deliver a good product for your audience, right? And if you don't put in the work, whatever that work is, whether it's anxiety work or whatever, then you're not going to be a quality presenter or host as you are, and so on. So that's all. I just wanted to share that bit of a common.
Well, thank you. Yeah. Oh, and I feel for you though. It's rough. 5 days, man. I would have had to check into Western Psych for a while.
Yeah, especially in the middle of Minnesota in 3 feet of snow or whatever it was, with nowhere to go on the outside. So
you survived.
You take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Yeah. Oh. So. My obit. Not my obit. Soon enough. Do you know I already asked a friend to write my obituary? What an awful thing to ask a friend to do. I hope she doesn't mind. I have a number of friends who I could have asked, because I have a number of friends who are great writers and who know me very well. But I asked her. And what I did is create a level of anxiety in her. I'm thinking, my God, what I must have, that's a terrible thing to do to somebody. It just occurred to me. If somebody did that to me, and I always am asked to write obits and eulogies, but that's a hard thing to do, because you want to do the person justice, and you don't want to go on forever, and you want whatever. Stop. Somebody stop me today. I don't know what's going on with me. My obit, not my obit. Melvin Van Peebles' obit. Now, coming off the Ali thing and then reading Melvin Van Peebles, I thought, geez, this guy is like, they're two amazing human beings. I just want to, let me just read this one paragraph where I thought, what? Okay. Over a 6-decade career, Van Peebles continually reinvented himself. Here are some of the things he was. An Air Force officer, a San Francisco cable car operator, a filmmaker, a novelist who wrote in both English and also wrote in French. Nominated for a Tony Award as a playwright and as a composer, and winning an Emmy for his writing for television. He was also a spoken word artist, a performance artist, and in the 1980s, the only Black floor trader on the American Stock Exchange. And that was the result of a bet he lost. He was so filled with self-confidence. If this guy ever had an anxious moment, I would be shocked. He's got the kind of inner, he's so sure of himself, so filled with a sense of, I can do anything. And he did. He just kept moving from one thing to the other. He came from nothing. I mean, no money, no connections. And the obit, this is the Washington Post obit, says he willed himself into recognition with whatever he was doing. Now, most people, when they know his name, they know him for starring in, writing, and directing, and producing, and what have I left out? Being the stunt man and the star of a movie. He literally, talk about willed something to life. The movie was, in 1971, just to set it, in a chronological timeline, Sweet Sweetback's Badass Song. And boy, what he did with this. It got an X rating by the motion picture, whatever group that is that does the ratings. It got an X rating because no black person had ever dared to portray a black man fully as a strong sexual being, somebody who wouldn't take shit from white police officers, and was on the run as a result. But he made this from a black man's perspective, intended for a black audience. And he was such an operator that at one point he's doing a graphic sex scene for this movie. And I can't believe this is true myself, because it even says in the obit, perhaps this happened. He said he had contracted gonorrhea during the filming of one of these sequences, and that he applied to the Directors Guild for compensation for being hurt on the job. And he got it, the money, and he says he used the money to buy enough film to complete the movie. I just love it. He was fearless. I'm trying to look for how, when he got the X rating, he decided he was going to advertise, to use that as an advertisement. And I can't find that part of it. But he flat out, told essentially his black audience, rated X by the white guys. He rated X by an all-white jury is how he promoted the film. Just brilliant. No one had given him any money for the film. Black actors, many turned him down for being in the film because they were afraid if they were in this film, it would destroy their career, because they needed white Hollywood to, give them chances, I guess. He bluffed some bank into giving him a large line of credit. He got 50 thou off Bill Cosby. And then he shot the film in 20 days. And it ended up making more money. It was astonishing. It was astonishing. And that woke up the studio executives. You mean black people buy tickets too? And so what ends up happening after Van Peebles puts this stunning, wondrous perception of a black man that American film had never, ever allowed, white Hollywood says, hey, man, we got to get in on this. And that's what caused those what's called blaxploitation films, low budget, sexed up, violent action films. But what they didn't have in those films was what made Van Peebles so powerful and memorable. Hollywood, of course, squeezed the political messaging of his film out. And we're left with the sex and the violence and the car chases. And he said this: the formula for Sweetback was preempted taken and perverted and watered down and used in a counter-revolutionary way. He hated those blaxploitation films. He says, I don't care how many black faces are in them. These are products financed by the white Hollywood establishment. And that, as I started with all this stuff about what he'd done in his life. This was one thing that he did. This guy was everywhere. I mean, and there's always this sort of audacity, as he said, as I'm going to quote Ken Peebles again, if you're smart and white, you're considered a shrewd businessman. If you're black, you're considered a militant troublemaker. So Hollywood never went near him. And understandably, he probably didn't give a damn. His music, he put out an album, jazzy funk song poems, that a lot of critics have said was a precursor to what became rap. He plowed the profits he got from Sweetback into 2 Broadway musicals, for which he wrote the book, the music, and the lyrics. And by the way, my understanding is that these 2, or at least one of them, is maybe going to see the light of day again, is going to be produced again. And that's called Ain't Supposed to Die a Natural Death. So how do you end up as a broker on Wall Street? Well, he bet a friend over how much money he would get off some kind of a real estate deal. And under the terms of the bet, if Van Peebles lost, he agreed he would go to work as a floor trader on Wall Street. And I have to tell you, a lot of people make bets. How many people would have made good on that bet? I mean, so he lost. And he goes and does this outrageous thing. Of course, he ended up writing a book about it called Bold Money. That came out in 1986. And it was reviewed as a impudent but prudent text. This guy was just flat out amazing. I don't know what to tell you. His son is carrying on the tradition of being out there. He lost a daughter. At one point in his career, I have to tell you this because you can't even believe this stuff. After he learned, he was living in the Netherlands. Then his marriage starts crumbling, and then his finances are kaplooey. So he moved to Paris and supported himself as a gigolo. I left that out of the other, what kinds of work Van Peebles had done. And apparently, he said he made tons of money as a gigolo. And that's where he wrote novels, and he applied for a director's license that you had to have. And it was because he had heard that the French government would give work and grants to French directors. And he said, I knew they meant a French citizen, but they didn't say that precisely. So I said, I'm writing in French, therefore I'm a French writer, right? I'm directing in French, so therefore I'm a French director. And a bureaucrat bought it and passed him a director's card, and he started turning out books and feature movies in French. The French loved it. In fact, they took his first French movie, The Story of a 3-Day Pass, which was about an affair between a Black American soldier and a white French woman. And they made it France's official entry into the San Francisco Film Festival. This is 1968. And reviewers went wild, including the big, hard to please reviewer, Judith Christ. And Van Peebles was left chuckling, saying, yeah, I was a critic's choice at the festival, but they didn't know I was an American, let alone Black. I mean, it's what an extraordinary life. So, Melvin Van Peebles, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm trying to look at what they lived a long life, died at 89. The headline in the Post obit is fiercely independent filmmaker. Melvin Van Peebles dies at 89. And as I was saying, I mean, he reminds me of Ali again in that he exhibited the same kind of up yours attitude to the powers that be, white, and was just openly a proud Black man at a time when that was just not the way to get ahead. Audacious, wondrous. Little Tony says about Jeopardy, I stopped watching it a long time ago because of Matt Amodio. Is that the guy? That is it. That's him, the one who's winning all the time. He ruined the show. It's a total bore. Yeah, it is a bore. You don't want to see the same guy. It's just not fun. Why would, and Tony, you're absolutely right. Why would I want to tune in and see him win night after night? The guy is so smart. There's no doubt about that. I got sick of watching him and just stopped watching. I hope he loses every night, even though I don't watch anymore. Well, I feel the same way. And you got to think, how the hell is he ever going to lose? He knows everything. Although, yeah, I watched again last night. I happened to tune in. And I actually knew something he didn't know. And I can't remember what it was now. But I got it right, and everybody else got it wrong. When that happens and you're watching Jeopardy, you feel like, hey, am I hot or what? Hey, for those of you who always liked Al Franken, he's making a comeback. No, he's not running for Senate. He's kicked off a 15-city comedy tour. He's going back to stand-up. And he's using a lot of his material is about the Senate, being a senator. And man, obviously the fodder there is extraordinary. It was really amazing when he did win that race, how he just turned off the wise guy and was this maybe overly, careful. God forbid he should say something even vaguely funny. He just decided, okay, I'm not Al Franken anymore. I mean, not Saturday Night Live Al Franken. I am now a United States Senator. And he's billing, his tour as the only former U.S. Senator currently on tour. I have no idea if that tour is coming through here. I do not know. Apparently, he owes Ted Cruz a lot because Ted Cruz is a constant source of fodder. Here's the only thing that I got. He says, I like Ted Cruz more than most of my colleagues like Ted Cruz. And I really hate Ted Cruz. I have to tell you something. Ted Cruz, I mean, you can tell he's vile, but he must be so supremely vile that it's a given that there is literally not a soul that likes the guy. So just saying, Al Franken's on tour. I got a call. Hello there.
Morning.
Morning.
You had a guest a couple of years ago, maybe more than that, who worked on the Jeopardy show, and I guess he had Pittsburgh roots or something like that. And we were able to ask him a lot of questions about what happens behind the scenes and stuff when they're taping the show. But one thing I want to know, and I don't expect you to know it, is when somebody wins like this, can they bring in okay, we're going to get some ringers in here. Or is it just
no?
Okay, your time's up.
No, you can't do that because of the quiz. No. You can't fiddle with whatever formula you use to bring in, contestants. This guy knows so much about so many topics. I don't know how you find somebody who can take him down. But, that was true of Ken Jennings. He hasn't won as much as Ken Jennings won. And he's number 3. So there's somebody else, number 2, that I'm not thinking of. So eventually he'll go down. He'll have a bad day. He'll, whatever. And it's not like he doesn't seem to be a bad person, but I literally hate him. It's not his fault. I mean, it's just, you can't help it. We love underdogs. We don't like overdogs. After a while, you just want them out.
But he's just destroying them. I mean, they don't even get to the second round, and he's already winning by $20,000. And it's just like,
I know.
And it's just like, do they rate, when people go through the process of qualifying for the show, do they ever go through a rating process like, man, this woman here, she's pretty smart, and we'll give her
maybe
5 versus 1.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe they do.
I'm not
maybe
saying
they're trying to throw I don't know what calculations they make, but I hear what you're saying. That maybe they'd be trying to find people they think could have a chance of taking them out. But geez, wake me up when it's over. I can't. And I think the questions have been hard. I mean, I think I think they've upped that. It's some really tough stuff, I think. And he just yip.
But here, the flip side is it's boring for us. But at some point,
it's boring for the audience. Yeah.
But at some point, does he become like, oh my God, we got to tune in to see if this guy loses tonight, and maybe it brings in. I don't know how that plays with
I don't think that's working. Do you? I mean, Tony said it turned him off. It turned me off. What I might do is tune it in midway through and see what's happening. And if there's a shot that he's not, 20,000 points ahead, maybe I'll stay to see if he'll get knocked off. But I don't want to. It's boring.
Yeah. But are they bringing people who normally don't watch the show is the question, I'm a pretty I try to watch it when I'm around, especially dinner time, but, or washing dishes, but it is, it's like, and there's an annoyance factor. He almost seems like he's got a condition. Like, didn't he get in trouble? Like.
What do you mean?
I don't know.
Conditioned.
I don't want to get into it. I don't want to offend anybody. Never mind.
All right. Oh, you're going to say what? He's like, no, okay, I won't either. No, I don't think he hasn't conditioned. He seems socially comfortable, and I don't know. He's a guy who knows an awful lot, and I wish he'd go away because he's ruining a show I like to watch. That's all. It's ruining a show. Yeah. And look, I'm sure the producers are very aware, but I don't know what they could do about it. I don't remember feeling this way about Ken Jennings, but I think that's also because we've never seen anybody on a run like that. And I don't know. I don't remember, but this guy's driving me friggin' nuts.
Could it be the combination of the host just
maybe
changing and not liking that? I mean, it could be a combination of all that.
It's a whole bunch of stuff going on. Anyway, all right. Well, let's hope he loses. He's just shy of $1 million at this point.
I just want to see a good game.
Yeah. But that means somebody's capable of winning. I mean, I agree with that. Okay.
Remember when like the Patriots were going undefeated? They went undefeated until they lost the Super Bowl. Yeah. And I hated them because they were winning by like 40-some points in the fourth quarter, and Tom Brady's still in there throwing bombs. And I'm like, why? It's like I just piling on. I don't know. I try to root for everybody at some point. But, oh well, never mind. Okay. Have a good day.
Bye. You too.
Bye.
Bye. I want to end. Oh, first of all, no, I have to share this. This is my favorite tweet of the day that I saw. Let me do that, and then I'll get to this other thing. And by the way, yes, I have more than enough material here. Okay, so there was this on Twitter. It was posted by an MD, a woman, and she said, just saw a news item that a woman was arrested for stabbing a hospital worker yesterday. And the article said, quote, the worker was able to return to work hours after the incident, end quote. And the doctor posting it says, that's fortunate. But I think if you get stabbed at work, you should get the rest of the day off. Is that not true? What? Can you imagine? She got stabbed at work and was able to return to work hours later. You get stabbed at work, you get to go home. But it was I don't know. Okay, so John McWhorter, the linguist, has waded into the changing pronoun situation, the fact that, so many people now put at the bottom of their, emails or whatever, preferred pronouns, they, thee, them. I mean, that's not right, is it? She, hers, he. That's not right either. But as you can see, I'm reluctant. But I get it. And he wades into this. And he points out, as any linguist would, hey, guys, I was saying earlier how I don't like change. Language changes all the time. And there are times when it makes big changes, like changing how people use pronouns. That's a biggie. And he said, we should be really excited. I guess linguists now are very excited that they're living in this moment where they know the language is undergoing a huge change. As he puts it, they tell you mountains become sand, but you never get to see it happening. Language change happens faster, and you actually get to witness it. It's something to treasure. So I'm just telling myself and those of you who are annoyed by the changes that it's a wondrous historical event that is happening before our eyes. And then he tries to school us, as linguists have tried of late, that things like pronouns have always been having to change. I mean, there wasn't even there are places where there wasn't even a difference between he and she. Everybody was just he. For a long time. I mean, we're talking about Old English, but yeah. So at some point, those folks long ago decided that women need to be called something different, have their own pronoun. And even as recently, when John Adams was overseas in France, Abigail back home would write him. They'd exchange letters. I'm sure you've seen some of them or heard of them. They were wonderful. And he quotes Abigail Adams in one of the letters she wrote. She wrote, "I wish you was nearer to us." What? That doesn't sound right. I wish you was nearer to us. But that was perfectly okay. She was an extremely educated person. And that was how you would say what we now say, I wish you were nearer to us. Things change. And he says, what seems to gall some people about this new singular they is that people are requesting to be addressed in a novel way that just doesn't seem right. But then he says, how is that different from not that long ago? And I'm going out on a limb here and saying, I think you're all old enough to remember when the title Ms. MS was introduced as a proper title for a woman. There had only been Miss and Mrs., which delineated a woman's marital status. Man, as Mr., you didn't know if Mr. So-and-so was married or not. There was nothing delineating it. But Miss or Mrs. told you. And so Ms. was like Mr., a neutral. Do you remember? And today, does anybody get upset about Ms.? I suppose there's some holdouts, but I don't think so. So, and he points out other things. I remember how it felt, he says, to be an English speaker in the late 1980s, when seemingly overnight one was to say Asian rather than Oriental. African American rather than Black. Now, of course, Black has made a return. and as he says, and yet the earth kept spinning, and references to Orientals are now so antiquated, they sound crazy. So we do make these changes. So just as people like Abigail Adams said, you was, there's probably going to be, it'll take a long time to figure out how we deal with they in terms of the verb that follows. A lot of people are saying, well, it'd be, if you're using they, it'd be a plural, like they are ready for their highlights now. But he says, not so quick. You do not know that that's going to be considered proper. It could be that it will be they, and then a singular, such as they are ready. Wait a minute. They is ready. God, I don't know. But anyway, he's telling us, calm down, enjoy the show, because pronouns historically change. Okay? I'm hoping you'll feel better. And I have to tell you, I got a flu shot yesterday, and I just read an article that says we all should do that more than ever, simply because nobody knows anymore how our immune systems have been affected by the fact that last year there essentially was no flu because we were all hunkered down. I don't know. And I wasn't intending to. I mean, I would have eventually, but I'd gone to pick something up at the drugstore, and they said I'd have to wait for 15 minutes. And they said, have you had a flu shot? And I said, no. And so I got one. And just saying, putting it in your head, because it's getting on close to October, and that's the time to get them. Okay? All right. Well, as usual, my anxiety was not necessary. And I didn't get into any of the heavy stuff, did I? I had some here, but I managed to avoid it, and I'm thrilled. And I hope you are too. So it's the beginning of my weekend, and I hope you guys all have a pretty good one. Enjoy the cooler weather, and I'll talk to you again on Monday. Bye-bye.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Thursday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper or its advertisers.